Today, we're looking at a purple ink by Monteverde Amethyst. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. There's timestamps down below so that you can skip around, but if you got the time, I would appreciate you if you check out the entire video. You can follow me over on Instagram, and if you're new here and like fountain pen ink reviews, I would remind you to subscribe. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then put the ink into this Italics Chaplin's Tankards with an oblique italic nib to write for the day and to take my notes for this video. I use 3 papers to standardize in some of my writing samples: Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. There are additional writing samples that'll come later in the video. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairfontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo sheen, and no shade. What a great tone. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, and some very nice shading going on. Quick starts dark, gets light, gets dark again. Brown starts very dark and gets light. Over starts much lighter and gets much darker. Nice stuff. 10 seconds to dry. Medium is darker than the extra fine, not quite as dark as the stub. It has no feather spread, halo sheen, and it has a lot of very nice shading. Quick again, starts dark, gets light, gets dark. Brown starts dark, gets light. Jumps, starts light, gets dark. Beautiful. 16 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show plenty of color variation, looking far left to far right, and we do see it even better in the writing sample. Tomoe River. No bleeding and normal Tomoe River ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is a whole lot lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 15 seconds to dry. Now the medium is darker than the extra fine, but not quite as dark as the stub. It has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 22 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us a little bit of color variation, looking far left, far right, but it's not coming through in the writing. And Rhodia. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, and some nice shading throughout, like brown starts very dark, gets very light. Fox starts dark, gets light, gets dark again. Lazy starts very dark, goes to some nice mid-tones on the Z, and then very dark on the Y again. Very nice stuff, and 12 seconds to dry. Now the medium is darker than the extra fine, not quite as dark as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, but still some very nice shading. Quick starting dark, gets light, gets very dark again. Over is a super dark word. Lazy starts dark, gets much lighter at the Y. 18 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us plenty of color variation when you look far left to far right, and we did get plenty of good color variation in the writing. I agree with Vita. I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And there's a very magenta-leaning pink all the way at the bottom. It's very bright there. It's nice. We do see some turquoise mixed in as it goes from that pink magenta up, and it gets much darker. Now it looks like a dark blue line across the top, and I have a feeling that that actually is a third ink mixed in, or a third dye. The one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And to be honest, the only slight difference you see is that pink line on the bottom looks slightly more there, and that's about it. Resistance tests are done to see how well this ink can be expected to perform on the page and how hard it may be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, I don't think I would want to use this in a note-taking situation because it looks like a glitch effect. It is horrible. I don't use it. Don't use it as a note-taker. Water is reactivating and lifting this off the paper. Now this is only 30 seconds. And if you look at the upper right edge, you start to see the white of the paper coming through. Now perhaps water is not enough. Pen flush is completely reactivating this ink and lifting it off the paper. You're easily seeing the white of the paper coming through, meaning pen flush is all you should need to get this out of your pen. A 1/3 bleach solution does completely remove it, but it's not needed in this case. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. I'm also linking a video that shows how I do my testing and my calculations. Monteverde's Amethyst has a viscosity of 1.98, making this a wetter ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. I average those, and for the inks I've tested, I found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with a realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Monteverde's Amethyst has an average dry time of 16 seconds, so despite it being a wetter ink, its dry time is normal. Instead of finding inks that look like Monteverde's Amethyst, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. Now, it's called a black because of what it is. It comes across much more as gray, which is nice, so that it does not detract from this great blue, or purple, sorry. I've chosen the Atramentis Archive. The second writing sample is done on Viscosity, black and red, and Franklin Christoph paper. Here we're looking at the Viscosity notebooks. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen. It does offer some spots of shade, like the N is lighter than the letters around it. The E is darker than the letters around it. So there is some shading to be had here, just not a ton of it. Now, the extra fine has no feather spread, halo sheen. It does offer some shading within the writing, like brown starts very dark and goes to a mid-tone. Fox starts dark, gets light, gets darker again, over starts light and gets dark. Nice, 7 seconds to dry. Now the medium is darker than the extra fine, about the same tone as the stub. No feather spread, halo sheen, and it does offer some shading throughout its writing as well. Fox starts light and gets dark. Lazy starts much darker, gets lighter at the Y. Dog starts lighter and gets darker. Nice, 10 seconds to dry. Scrubby of the extra fine and the medium don't show a lot of color variation, although it does come through in the writing. Black and red notebooks. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. Now the extra fine is a little bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 4 seconds to dry. Medium is darker than the extra fine, about the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 5 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it. Last up, Franklin Christoph. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, a very dark tone here. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade, 5 seconds to dry. Medium is darker than the extra fine, nowhere near as dark as that stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 6 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it, and that is all that I have for the writing sample. So what do I think of Monteverde Amethyst? I think this is a great tone of purple that's just slightly blue leaning. It is very nice. And there's something about this ink that makes that Italics brand, Chaplin's Tankard, feel like it's writing a little bit smoother, which is funny because there's no tipping material on that pen. It's pretty nice. So what nib and pen give the best writing experience with this ink? A dry fine or dry medium really puts down a very pleasant tone and lets you get some of the shading. But a very wet broad, what that's going to do is put down even more and really make this purple shine and bring out its personality on the page. If you've enjoyed this video and made it this far, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down and tell me why. Thanks for watching.